Is WooCommerce a good fit for the firearms industry? In this video, I'm going to answer this question about really how good of a fit it is, and you might just be surprised as to the outcome and some of the research that I've done here. This video, I will say, was prompted by this little rumor mill that's been running around town. We're gonna break down the exact rumor about halfway through this video, but it certainly begs the question as far as whether WooCommerce is a good fit for this industry, and I'm going to fully answer that question. Let's chat about it. WooCommerce is one of the most used e-commerce platforms out there, and especially in the firearm space. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons. First, it's free and it easily plugs into WordPress. I mean, very low barrier to entry. It's also open source, so the idea is that no one can take it away from you. Open source, you own the code, it's yours, you go forward with it. But just because it's worked for the past years, is it still a good fit going forward? I am going to evaluate BigCommerce from three different standpoints. From a feature standpoint, from a platform standpoint, and from a philosophical standpoint. Do they align with this industry? Out of the box, WooCommerce doesn't necessarily have all the features that are unique to this industry, like FFL shipments, age verification, locking product shipments to or out of specific states. But the good news is you can get most of this or even all of this through plugins. So that's really pretty good. Like out of the box, most e-commerce platforms are going to require some extensions just to accommodate this industry. But the bad news as well is that installing this many plugins is not always the answer. You see, plugins rarely talk to each other. So you're going to have to probably have a developer involved to make these connections, make them work together. The other big issue though, plugins aren't necessarily held to a really quality standard. They might have performance issues. They might have security issues. No one really knows until stuff starts hitting the fan and we find out. So from a feature standpoint, it doesn't really have it all, but it's fine, right? It works out of the box. From a platform perspective, think of WooCommerce like a rubber band. You start out with plenty of space right around the edges. You're just like a little dot here in the middle, but as you grow, the space around the edges becomes less and less. Eventually, you begin to stretch it out. And finally, you might end up with some type of catastrophe where sales are lost. See, I follow a company that I really enjoy the stuff that they put out. Seem like they're doing really well. For the second time in fairly recent history, they sent out an email newsletter with some coupons, and their site went kaput. It was on WooCommerce. I'm not saying it can't happen on maybe some other platforms, but WooCommerce is unique because it's open source and it's hosted in one area, one place, which means it's very likely not scalable in almost every case unless you spend a lot of money to do this. In other words, if your website gets hit with a load of traffic, you have problems, you start losing sales. You release a new product and it's not properly set up or for this type of a load on your system, it's possibly going to crash. I think you get what I'm saying here. So from a platform standpoint, it works. It's again like this rubber band, but you start bumping into the edges and you got a problem. Now let's look at philosophical. And this is where the rumor comes in. You see, I am hearing that WooCommerce is planning or doing something to kick members off the WordPress, at least the WordPress.com platform. I'm not sure if that's the case. Maybe it's more payments related, kind of like how Shopify started down that road. But either way, I do know that WooCommerce's and WordPress.com's or WordPress in general's acceptable use policy explicitly states as the first item in business. So there is no messing around with this, that no firearms are to be sold on their site. Verifiable. WordPress is actively against this industry. And that matters because we don't want the profits that they make through the perhaps ways that we might purchase their services or utilize them, their hosting, whatever, to affect our Second Amendment rights. This is a fundamental issue with the choice of WooCommerce. I come to is this. While WooCommerce is a great platform to start out on, from a feature standpoint, the platform itself won't grow with you. And from a philosophical standpoint, they are against the firearms industry. if you're on WooCommerce, what's the answer? Or you're looking to move to WooCommerce, what's the answer? Well, there are other e-commerce platforms, but a lot have their own problems. Shopify, yeah, it's anti-gun. We learned that lesson in 2018. Adobe Commerce, Magento, I'm going to say it's okay, but the cost of ownership is really pretty high. If you need the ability to deeply customize your platform to change order workflows and other business processes, then yeah, Magento, Adobe Commerce is a good fit for you. But most don't need that. And if I may, and you are in a position of looking, I would recommend a hard look at BigCommerce. So they've been in business since 2009, longer than WooCommerce. They are known as, get this, the platform that fits your business, not the way around, your business trying to cram into this other platforms. They have all the features or plugins necessary to power your presence selling firearms online, and have a whole bunch of other cool features that are just baked into the core. For example, the promotions engine can literally cough up almost any type of promotion you can think of. They can handle it. They have really good support for product variations. They are robust and scalable. Look at it this way. You don't have to worry about your website going down if you release that really awesome new promotion or great product that you are super excited about. They're PCI compliant, payment card industries compliant. So you take your credit cards and you don't have to worry about, is my site secure with this credit card information that I'm handling? Or a data breach actually destroying your business with unbelievable fines. If you're at the point of perhaps considering a move to a platform that you really hope will work for many, many years, I invite you to chat with us about BigCommerce. In fact, I'm going to offer you a free, no BS strategy session where we're going to talk about your current setup, your goals, and we're going to look at what does it take to get you to the next level. So to summarize, at this point, I would not recommend using WooCommerce for launching a firearms website. Now, if you're already there, I get it. It's like, what do you do at that point? It might, depending on how this rumor plays out, it might not be like a absolute critical emergency, but I would start recommending budgeting for a potential migration. It's something that you probably will eventually want to think about as your business continues to grow. I hope you found this helpful as we compare WooCommerce with the firearms industry.